Hello, this is the Captain Paxo. Back with some more Dark Souls casual play. Sen's Fortress. Alright. Is there anything that I should get? Just to prepare for this area. Didn't I have 2 of those? Oh, I do. Let's go turn these in. Again, messing with the order of your items in your inventory. It can get a little bit scary, but generally it's not too bad. Because if you're on top of it, then the important stuff is always at the bottom or the top. So you just have to do a little bit more digging to find the rest of it. And down the elevator we go. We could, if we wanted to, go back to Undead Asylum, take on Stray Demon. Take a long ass time, but could get a slab out of it. We'll do that later when we've got a bit stronger of a weapon. Reinforce 1, reinforce 2. Oh, it's quite nice to have Chloranthy on. And there's a cat outside my door. Wonderful. Right, so now that's been taken care of. And by taken care of, I mean let inside. Now we can get back onto things. Don't really need a +2 Estus Flask. +1, pretty useful. +2, not so much. Not with this health bar. But later on it'll be useful. Alright. I've been thinking about, like, older games a lot recently. Like, well, just games in general. Generally the older ones. But something like Spyro and Banjo-Kazooie. They're the sorts of games that have, like, really, really passionate cult followings. Damn it. And they also have games that try to break the mold of what they used to do, such as Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts, which not many Banjo fans enjoyed, and the Legend of Spyro series, which not many hardcore... wow. I can't say not many hardcore Spyro fans enjoyed, but I can say that they prefer the older ones. And it got me thinking about, like, brand recognition, about how, like, brand recognition is great and all, and it can really help an IP stay strong and sell a lot, but it can also kind of trap the IP into being one type of game, because if it tries to mix things up a bit and change things quite drastically, it can end up being a game that not many of the fans really enjoy all that much. Like, maybe new fans enjoy it, but older fans not so much. And I think that's one of the things that happened with Dark Souls 2 and Dark Souls 3, you know. Well, Dark Souls 2 is a prime example of this. Not many old fans enjoy that game at all. There are some, definitely, but new fans enjoyed it more than old fans, just generally speaking. Not to say that there weren't any new fans that hated it and that there weren't any old fans that enjoyed it, but it's just more new fans enjoyed it more than old fans. Whoop. Whoa, that was a leap. Get out. Okay, +2, that's actually useful. Ooh. Sweet. And that was just a curious little thought that I had, you know. And it's a shame because the Legend of Spyro series is one of my all-time favourite franchises. But it garners a lot of disappointment from maybe more hardcore, like old-fashioned Spyro fans who wanted something that they're familiar with, because Legend of Spyro is completely different from the original games. Like, the original games are platformer, collectathon, action-adventure games, whereas the Legend series is an action RPG, and completely got rid of the collectathon element from it. And such a drastic change, not going to go down too well with fans who really enjoy the collectathon formula that Spyro had built up. And it also got me thinking, like, well, The Legend of Spyro, it's a good series, and honestly, it could have worked just fine even if it didn't have the Spyro IP. In fact, Spyro fans probably would have enjoyed The Legend of Spyro a lot more if it didn't have the Spyro IP. Like, if Spyro was just... wasn't Spyro, it was just a normal, like, random-ass, like, dragon, or if he was a goddamn, like, iguana or something stupid like that. If he wasn't Spyro, then maybe Spyro fans would have enjoyed that game more, but because it was Spyro, everybody had an expectation of what the game was going to be, and, well, of course it wasn't that. It was something completely different. You know? And I feel like that's what a similar thing happened with Dark Souls. Like, Dark Souls 2 is a completely different game from Dark Souls 1, you know? But everyone was expecting Dark Souls 1 2.0, you know what I mean? But instead what we got was something completely different. We got, well, what Dark Souls 2 was. So, would Dark Souls 2 have been a lot more popular if it didn't have the Dark Souls IP? Well, I mean, it wouldn't have sold as much, but maybe it would have gone down better with fans, because it was trying to be like Dark Souls, but it wasn't Dark Souls. Instead of, like, trying to be Dark Souls, being Dark Souls, but not doing it well, you know? I don't know, I'm doing a lot of blabbing. Let's activate that trap. Do I need to go down there and grab anything? Nah. So, like, brand recognition can kind of trap you, in a sense. So sometimes it might be better to not have the brand recognition and just try and make lots of different interesting games. I don't know. Ooh. Maybe I should have gone for this guy first. Roll. You can crush its poise pretty fairly, though. There we go. I normally try and parry these guys, but sometimes my parrying is not that great with them. Hey, got it. Nope. Yeah, poise crushed. And there's our Titanite, so now we can get a +10 longsword. But I'll open up the shortcuts first, just to make things a lot easier on myself. Crazy mad dash. There we go. But I've also been thinking about older games in more the sense of them just being better than newer games. I'm not sure if you can really definitively say that, oh yeah, the old games are better than new games, but there is an element of that, isn't there? Like, everybody remembers, like, the first handful of games that they played with a lot of fondness, you know? Everybody remembers the first Final Fantasy they played, except if you, you know, haven't played one. Like me, yes, I've never played a Final Fantasy. But everybody remembers, like, a game franchise that they played, and for the first, that was the first introduction to a franchise, and then they might remember playing later games in that franchise and thinking that it's not quite as good, you know, it doesn't scratch that itch quite as well as the first game they played. You know, it's a cognitive bias towards your first exposure to this sort of experience, you know? And that's true for any game franchise, whether it be like Halo, Final Fantasy, Dark Souls, Pokemon, whatever, you know? I don't know why I'm going that way, I'm not human. So you're always going to remember the first game you play with a lot more fondness than any others. And if you're an early adopter of a franchise... That's scary. Woo! If you're an early adopter of a franchise, then you're going to remember the first couple of installments of that franchise very fondly. So if they ever change anything kind of drastically, then you're going to notice quite a bit more than most other people, and you might not like it as much as everybody else, because what you're used to and what you know you like is the older stuff. But then, of course, if games don't adapt, if they don't evolve, then they're just gonna die out. You know, look at Call of Duty. Like, it might still be relevant, but everything that you see in every new iteration of Call of Duty has been ripped off from something else. You know? Yeah, let's drop down. So it's not really new, it's just doing enough to stay relevant. Let me focus here for a second. There we go. So, you know, franchises do have to change. But it's like, they have to change enough to stay relevant and warrant the sequel. But at the same time, I'm gonna use a shield here. I'm gonna be cheesy. Sure. I have a pretty decent strategy against Ricard. Just walk up to him, and then as soon as he holds his sword in front of him, hit the parry button, and you'll nail the parry every single time. Just wait for him to point his sword in front of his face, then parry. Easy. Works every single time, because he doesn't have enough damage to be able to break your guard. Whoop! He can parry as well. And if he does that, well, it's gonna hurt, isn't it? Go on. There you go. Completely destroys everything that Ricard can do. You know, like I said, Rapier can't break through your shield because it just doesn't do enough damage. It can't break your stability. And you're not putting yourself in a bad position of getting poked to death or parried. And you're also in his face, you're not getting shot at. I love that strategy. It just completely undermines everything that that NPC can do. But back on track. What was I saying? About old games seeming to be better? Partially because of cognitive bias, as I've discussed. But I don't know. Is there a truth to it? There is. Games are definitely becoming more bland. They're becoming more cookie cutter. They're following more of a rhythm, more of a pattern. I feel like a lot of media is. Like, there's a lot of shows and films and stuff like that which just kind of forget how to make a good film. They get so caught up in trying to do something new and creative, or follow a standard, try and set up a story, that they fall into this trap of following a formula that they think works, but they don't really understand why it works. You know, so they never really end up with something that is truly great. They just end up with something that's really bog standard that could have been great. They just couldn't figure out how to do it. You know? I mean, what would be a good example of it? I guess Dark Souls 2 would be a good example. I know, I keep harping on Dark Souls 2. I know it definitely did some good things, like the omnidirectional rolling. I love that. But it also got a lot of things wrong. You know, like I said with enemy positioning. Like they put so many goddamn enemies on the map at any given time that the player's completely overwhelmed and has no option but to try and brute force it. There's no strategy involved. You just gotta avoid everything and hope you get your dodges right. You know? It tried to copy the formula of Dark Souls 1, which was hard, but they didn't really understand how, like, why the formula was successful. So, you know, an imitation just couldn't work. It's interesting, though. So, older games, are they really better than newer games? Well, for the most part, I'd say yes. But you can't just blanket statement that, because whilst there are a lot of shit games like Call of Duty and Halo 4 and stuff like that, there's also some pretty damn good ones, like Witcher 3 and what other new games are pretty good? Siege? Of course. Siege. How can I forget Siege? You know? It's just... I feel like the good games are a lot more few and far between than they used to be. There we go. Lovely +10 weapon. Don't get yourself killed. Oh, I've been doing plenty of that. It's fine. I just remember the PS2 era, you know. Like, there's so many PS2 games that I haven't played. There's so many, well, yeah, there's so many games from the early 2000s era that I just haven't played, and everybody just stared at me like, how have you not played this game? It is so good. And I sit there and I think to myself, well, there was a lot of really good games. Like, there was a lot of really good games in the PS2 era. You know, stuff like Zelda and Final Fantasy, Mario, Spyro. Even I would consider Legend of Spyro fantastic, but of course not everybody can agree with me. Star Wars Battlefront. Did I mention Jak and Daxter? I probably did. Jurassic Park Operation Genesis. A lot of the Lord of the Rings games, a lot of them are very good. Lego games, plenty of Lego games. Usually Lego Star Wars. Yeah. And then, like, some of the slightly more obscure stuff. Well, I guess Onimusha's not really that obscure. It was obscure to me. I didn't know of it. Kingdom Hearts, of course. And then, like I said, some of the more obscure stuff, like a game called Scalar, which, from the looks of things, it looks like just your bog standard collectathon, like, action platformer collectathon. But from what I've played of it, which I don't actually own it, the only part I've played of it was borrowing it off of a friend, but every single level you get like an alternative form, and that just creates some really interesting level design and just brings something new to each level. So it's always interesting and exciting. It's actually a pretty good game and I'm looking to get it. Mm-hmm. I'm always getting one sock back. I keep losing them. It's like I've only got half pairs now. Anyway. Sorry about that. That was a little bit quiet spell. Someone came knocking on my door. What was I talking about? Train of thought. Gone. Lost. Forever. Old games. Good. Ooh, right. Yeah, talking about just cool games in the past. Stuff like Okami. Ooh, that was a frame dip. Okami, God Hand. So many games that I have not played. Like, I'm looking at my collection of PS2 games. I have 21 PS2 games. Right? Actually, I think 22 now. I recently bought... well, I say recently. About 6 months ago, I found a copy... or a case for Kingdom Hearts, which... that's one of the franchises that I've never played. Kill me, you know? Never played Kingdom Hearts, never played... Okami, Onimusha, God Hand, never played Zelda, never played Mario. Actually, I have played Mario. Lots and lots of franchises that a lot of people would consider heresy for not playing, you know? It's like, well, what do you want from me? There's so many PS2 games. Hey, we got our 22 decks. Sweet, and we can get our Silver Knight Straight Sword now. Where did you get the gold covered serpent ring? I forgot. Oh, I got it. I picked it up. It's just like, where'd you get it? I can't remember. Oh, right, it's in my inventory already. I picked it up. Duh. But yeah, so I found a copy of Kingdom Hearts in a shop that I volunteer at. So I was like, oh sweet, I'll pick that up. So I bought it. It was like £2. Actually, I think, yeah, £2.50, £2.50, which is about $3. And so, like, I go upstairs, like, prep myself to leave, because I just finished my shift there. And I open up the case, and it's got Onimusha 3 in it. I'm like, oh. Well. So I got refunded. But I was kind of like, man, I really wanted to play Kingdom Hearts. But I got Onimusha instead. I played a little bit of Onimusha 3, and it is a cool game. But I haven't played much of it because I was just like, I really want to play Kingdom Hearts. it was so depressing because at the time I really, really wanted to play Kingdom Hearts. So I found out, I was like, yes. Open it up. Oh, that's not Kingdom Hearts. Bullshit. Oh well. And actually, I haven't been able to play PS2 in quite some time because the TV that I have doesn't have a component or SCART socket in it, so I can't plug the PS2 up. But I recently, and by recently I mean like 10 minutes ago, bought a component to HDMI converter off of Amazon, which is going to arrive tomorrow, hopefully. So I'll be able to play PS2 games again, and I will most likely get a bunch of PS2 games that I haven't played but I've really wanted to play, and I will be getting Scalar because I had so much fun with that game when I played it, and I'll be able to play it again. I'd love to be able to like record it, but I don't have a I don't have a way of recording PS2. I don't have a capture card, so what I'm thinking, and I probably can't do this, but it's, I don't know, it might. Hop, sweet. My PC has like some HDMI ports in the back of it, because that's how HDMI cables work, right? So I'm kind of thinking, what if I plug the PS2 with HDMI to my PC? Probably won't work, but it would be awesome if I could get like my PS2 running through my PC and put it on my PC monitor by doing that, and then maybe I could screen capture it with Shadowplay, because that would be badass. Because actually a very long time ago, gotcha. When I was first starting to do YouTube, I wanted to do a series called Golden Oldies. Kind of a retarded name for a series, but it was basically going to be, I want to play a bunch of PS2 games and just make a single video out of them, talking, like doing a sort of Let's Play style video, just a one-off, and then maybe occasionally making a Let's Play series out of that game, and just sort of showing off like old PS2 games, because there's a lot of badass PS2 games out there, and it could just be quite interesting, you know, good old trip down memory lane, or nostalgia trip, or whatever. Dagnabbit. And of course it would be a lot of fun. But I could never really manage to do it because the capture card that I had, which I know... Wow! He sniped me. The capture card that I had, which I no longer have, was probably the shittest capture card you could get on the market. A Dazzle Platinum. Really unreliable piece of shit. This is gonna... Live? Nope. God damn it. Not particularly reliable piece of hardware. I'm trying to get it to work with Pinnacle Studios, which is the software which it came with, was a goddamn nightmare, right? There's like 50 channels that you can record through, but only one of them will give you visual and audio. You know, some of them will give you color but no audio. Some of them will give you a black screen but perfect audio. Some of it will just give no video, no audio. Some of it will give like staticky video, staticky audio. Some of it will have video but only in black and white. So trying to find the one channel that records video and audio in good quality, in color, pain in the ass. And on top of that, sometimes when you recorded, like 50% of the time, it would just not save the file once you finish recording. It would just disappear into the ether and you wouldn't be able to use it. It's like, what? Why? I don't know. It just decided no, I don't want to. And then the 50% of the time where you had video and you could make a video and you rendered it, it just decided it didn't want to upload to YouTube. It was like, right, yeah, solid. Thanks a lot. Dodge. Right, let's try not to get sniped by the archer this time. This is one of the parts which everybody hates in Dark Souls. Like, everybody thinks, like, oh, this is just the worst part of Dark Souls. I never had a problem with this part. I was one of those lucky son of a guns that never really had too much issue with the archers. You know. Right. Gotcha! Bitch. Give me Silver Knight. Give me a straight sword. Give me the straight sword. Please! Give it. Well. Oh, bye. Actually, that one can't drop it because he's got a Dragon Slayer bow. Oh, we made it to the glorious city of Anor Londo. Wow, I have a lot of memories of invading in this place. Holy shit. This was my regular haunting grounds. Maybe it will be again. Who knows? God damn it. 802. I gotta get those souls. I'm pretty sure these guys give like 500. Or is it 1,000? I can't remember. Ooh! That was close. Almost didn't get that parry. Ah, poise through it. Gave me the shield. Gave me the shield. Dagnabbit. Right, well, I've once again made the mistake of not watching how long I've been recording for. But I reckon that this is a pretty good place to stop. I will farm up the Silver Knight Straight Sword, and so next time we will be using this build's weapon. So thank you very much for watching. Let's give a point this time, and I'll catch you next time.